Or shall we declare here and now that this glorious symbol of national unity and righteousness shall continue forever to wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you, gentlemen of the jury. I have confidence that you will perform your duty.
As a psychiatrist, I examined the defendant this morning. I found him sullen, secretive, suspicious, and irritable. He has hallucinations frequently caused by heavy drinking.
Object, lad, object. They've got our necks on the chopping block.
Overruled. I would say the defendant shows definite signs of antisocial, cyclothymic, schizophrenic, and possibly epileptoid manifestations. I would recommend that he be confined to a mental hospital until such time as he becomes again a competent member of society.
But he's not insane.
Quiet, please.
Being a banker, naturally, I notified the authorities. He said it's the first dishonest balance I've struck.
We're in a worse fix than we were at New Orleans.
The checkbook sign and countersign is kept in the safe. Andrew Long was one of only 4 who knew the combination.
I confronted the boy with the evidence of his guilt. He finally broke down. I asked him to go to the district attorney and sign a confession, but he failed his promise and did not go to the district attorney.
I'm a teller at the Mesa National Bank of Denver. 4 weeks and a half ago, a man representing himself as Robert Ambrose Incorporated opened an account. He cashed 3 checks with us to the amount of $1,240. Immediately after they were honored, the account was closed.
Here is the notation made by Andrew Long, in which he reminds himself to be on the lookout for the 3 checks about which you have just heard testimony.
Objection overruled.
Gentlemen of the jury, Andrew Long had an accomplice in Denver to whom he sent these checks, which he himself had fraudulently drawn.
This is murder. I'm going out to find those lingering lilies and see what happened to our evidence.
The prosecution rests.
Can anyone tell me what this odd-looking instrument might be used for?
We're not interested in scientific research at this point, Dr. Franklin.
Oh, but you should be, my dear Marshal. This might be very interesting, if we weren't so stupid about learning its secret.
I've known him all my life. He's sane. He's not a drunkard. I stake my professional reputation upon the outcome of this trial.
Your Honor, I object, on the grounds that this is not evidence. It is an opinion.
Sustained. The jury will disregard the witness's remarks.
So all I can say is he paid his rent like a clock, and he's the best boy I ever knew. And you can tell this swindling shyster I'll snatch him bald-headed if he don't give that boy a chance to show him.
Your Honor, I object.
Objection sustained. The witness will use more temperate language or be held in contempt of court.
Okay. So I got contempt.
Straight from the back.
What in the name of the great Jupiter have you been doing?
Please be calm, General.
Calm? Calm? Whoever won a fight by being calm? A toad is calm, but a man gets mad.
We are searching for evidence precisely as we said we would.
But the trial is on. It's almost over. They've got that boy drawn and quartered.
General Jackson, being a military man, I don't suppose you have any idea what this instrument might be?
Oh, that's something that goes round and round like that. Here, one of these things go on it. The mayor had it on when I was in here before.
Temper the times and all that. With a little judicial cooperation from Krebs, everything will be all right. How I ever got mixed up with you political pirates in the first place, I'll never know. All right, I'll help you out of this one, but no more, understand?
I know whose voice that is. That's the judge who's trying the case. By the eternal, they're all crooks.
Your temper has done us in very prettily this time, Mr. Jackson.
John, you've always prattled about the great memory that you have. Here's your chance to prove it.
I've known for 8 years and been engaged to him for 5 of them. He worked his way through high school without assistance from anyone. I've never known him to take a drink, And he's the most honest person I've ever known. I've never heard him lie or accuse anyone falsely. The books he reads are fine books. They're about the men who made this country and the things America stands for. And I don't care what's said about him here. I'm going to marry him no matter what happens.
Is it not true that you visited him in his rooms and he told you that General Andrew Jackson was there as a guest?
Answer, please.
Yes.
That's all?
No further witnesses for the defense?
No, sir.
Have you no present?
Your Honor, I hadn't really planned to make any remarks, but Mr. Beamish has just about forced me to. A lot of people think I'm crazy because I don't have a lawyer to defend me. Well, they're wrong. I have several lawyers. I have on my side some of the great men of American history. Men like Washington and Jackson and Franklin and Jefferson and Marshall and some others. I would like to repeat the instructions once given a jury by Andrew Jackson when he said, "Do what is right between these parties. That is what the law always means." And that's all I'm asking of you gentlemen here today. You see, the books were dishonestly balanced. And when I complained to my superiors, they threw me in jail just for having a grievance and presenting it. Now, Benjamin Franklin once said, "Grievances cannot be redressed unless they are known. Where complaining is a crime, hope becomes despair." So, according to Mr. Franklin, I had a right to complain about the books. Thomas Jefferson once said, "Our first object should be to leave open all avenues of truth. The most effectual hitherto found is freedom of the press. It is therefore the first shut up by those who fear investigations of their actions." I think that ought to answer Mr. Beamish's criticism of what I read. Mr. Beamish has been talking all the time about democracy and how I'm subverting it. As a matter of fact, everybody now seems to be talking about democracy. I don't understand this. As I think of it, democracy isn't like a Sunday suit to be brought out and worn only for parades. It's the kind of a life a decent man leads. It's something to live for and to die for. I hope that what I'm trying to say doesn't sound like flag waving, because I've always felt that flag waving was something sacred and quiet, and not to be done for any selfish motive. But Mr. Beamish started this, and I'm only defending myself as well as I know how. Mr. Beamish has told you what democracy means to him. I think I ought to tell you what it means to me. Democracy means that people can say what they want to. All the people. It means that they can vote as they wish. All the people. It means that they can worship God in any way they feel right. And that includes Christians and Jews and voodoo doctors as well. It means that everybody should have a job if he's willing to work, and an education, and the right to bring up his children without fear of the future. And it means that the old shall be provided for, without shame to themselves or to their families. It means do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It also means the prayers of the Pilgrim Fathers in the wilderness, and the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution of the United States, and the Bill of Rights, and the Emancipation Proclamation, and the dreams of an immigrant mother for her children. And that's what I believe in. If I'm wrong, send me to jail. If I'm right, just give me a fair chance to prove my innocence. That's all, I guess.
In view of the fact that the defendant has no counsel, and in view of the further fact that he has presented no specific evidence in his behalf, I should like to inform him if he chooses to enter a plea of guilty by reason of insanity, this court will give his plea full consideration.
Oh, but I couldn't make a plea like that, Your Honor. You see, I'm perfectly sane.
In that event, young man, you understand your fate depends entirely upon the evidence presented against you in this court.
I understand. Your Honor, I think I have my evidence. Yes, I have.
Here's your gun, lad.
Look at him scribbling. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
What he's writing.
Then step up and fire point blank at their gizzards. Thank you, sir. Thank
you. Your Honor, Mayor Ollie Lancaster, Chief Clerk Art Slocum, Purchasing Agent Sam Savage, City Treasurer R.R. McCall, District Attorney Beamish, and a sixth person were this morning present at a meeting in the mayor's office. I have here a transcript.
Your Honor, I object.
Objection temporarily overruled. Young man, come here. Yes, Mr. Beamish, I know your rights, but please keep your seat. This is a very unusual case. Did you say a sixth person?
Yes, sir.
And you know who this sixth person is?
Oh, yes, sir.
You don't propose to use the name of this sixth person?
No, sir. Not unless the court forces me to.
The defendant will proceed.
Your Honor, I object to the introduction of such testimony as entirely incompetent.
Objection overruled. Please take the witness chair.
The meeting opened up something like this. I'm quoting from here on out. Mayor Lancaster said to the sixth person, "It's even more than that, isn't it?" I think you understand, don't you?
Your Honor, this evidence is obviously hearsay. I strongly object to the efforts of this defendant to besmirch the character of the men he has just mentioned with no more reliable evidence than a piece of paper.
How does the district attorney know the evidence about to be presented will besmirch the characters of those mentioned?
Well, I simply assume. What other motive could there be?
That's what I propose to find out, Mr. Beamish. Your objection is overruled. As you pointed out in your preliminary remarks, this is a court of justice. The court orders you to stop harassing the defendant.
Your Honor, I feel that the prosecution is disturbed over this testimony. If the court wishes, I will submit proof in advance of everything I say.
Young man, you're testifying under oath. And no one has the right to assume that you're committing perjury unless he can prove such assumption. Please go on with your testimony.
As you remember in the first quote, Mayor Lancaster said to the sixth person, "It's even more than that, isn't it?" I think you understand, don't you? And the sixth person said, "How I ever got mixed up with you political pirates in the first place is more than I know." From here on, I'll read it just as it was said. Sixth person. All right, I'll help you out of this one, but no more, understand? Lancaster. I thought you'd see the light. Beamish.
The court, please. The court, please. I've just received information which appears to have an important bearing on this case. The prosecution requests a recess of 30 minutes.
Will the defense accede to such a request?
The defense is agreeable.